Hey everybody, David Shapiro here. I know I have been scarce lately. That is because I am working on publishing 4 books. Right now, I am waiting. My next book that is going to come out, it'll be available in the next day or two, is Useless Platitudes and Truisms. I'm getting the final print copy now. I just finished draft 3 of Symphony of Thought, which is my next book on artificial intelligence and artificial cognition. That is out with beta readers. It should be just a little bit of cleanup left. And then I'm working on Post Nihilism, which is my book on philosophy. And finally, I am about to send out my first novel to an editor. Well, it's not my first novel, it's the first one that I'm going to get published. Anyways, I'm a big believer in open source software. For those members of my Discord server, well, it's no longer my Discord server. I am officially no longer the owner of the server. I'm turning it over to the community. In the spirit of open source and collaboration and consensus, big believer in decentralization, and I don't want to be the owner of anything. So the Cognitive AI Lab server is no longer mine. I turned it over as of this morning. I'll be demoted. I'll removed as a community leader here soon. So yeah, there's a new leadership team. So if you want to join, please ping those folks. I am no longer the gatekeeper of this community. Yeah, so open source community, et cetera, et cetera. One of the biggest risks in technology, and anyone who's in IT, software, whatever, will know this, is vendor lock-in. So if you write code or deploy systems for a given vendor, you end up getting stuck on that model, and you can only use that ecosystem. This is a huge risk with GPT-3. GPT-3 is closed source. It was created by OpenAI, and it has been exclusively licensed by Microsoft. Now, while the value of OpenAI is undeniable, with the GPT technology, they have advanced the technology. However, there are all kinds of folks taking over and advancing it now, going above and beyond where OpenAI has. And this is the power of open source software. So like Facebook, Amazon, Google, everyone is advancing this technology. And so, for instance, just this morning, I read about Amazon's, what's it called, the Alexa TS, or Alexa TM, sorry, Alexa teacher model. It's a 20 billion parameter model that is superior to GPT-3 in many ways. It's going to be open source. Bloom is open source. So there's all kinds of these models, and I don't want to get locked into any single model. So it is time to branch out and use more open source models. One of the folks on the Cognitive AI Lab Discord server told us about Forefront AI. So Forefront AI is a for-profit company that is deploying all of the open source models. So you see here, there's GPT-J, GPT-Neo, T5. I got signed up, and I just wanted to show you around. So they've got a very familiar looking dashboard. If you go to the playground, this looks just like the OpenAI playground. You can drop down your models here. You click on Add Model. They've got GPT-J, Neo X, CodeGen, T5, Opt. 30 billion and CodeGen. There's also some fine-tuned models. They're also working on adding models all the time. Last I heard, they're working on Bloom. They'll get Bloom added, which is the same size as GPT-3 DaVinci. But, so here's the thing. GPT-J, just playing around with it a little bit, seems like it is superior to Curie. So those are both 6 billion parameter models. But the thing is, it's open source and it's cheaper. So like if you go here and go to pricing, they've got some pre-built endpoints, like summarizing, label, extraction. Then they've got the kind of general purpose ones. So GPT-J is half a cent per 1,000 tokens, which is pretty darn cheap. I'm thinking about getting a GPU big enough that I can run this on my own locally. But it's like, okay, I can get a used GPU, there we go, for about $500 that can run it. But then I also need a computer, a server to run it in. And it would take a lot of tokens to add up to that. So, I'll have to spend like, I'm not going to do the math in my head, but several million tokens or several billion tokens before it'll be worth the cost. And then I can only run GPT-J. Still, anyways, getting ahead of myself, speculating. So I did want to introduce Forefront AI, and then just kind of show you like, okay, you get in here, and let's see, logs. It's got good logs. So 13 minutes ago, those 4 tokens. Yeah, okay, so I wanted to show you one of my experiments. So if you've been following me, you know me that one of my biggest goals is to solve the control problem and alignment. And so what I wanted to do was just show you a very simple agent model, and then just kind of show that like GPT-J right out of the box is pretty good. It's not perfect, but with just a little bit of fine tuning, we've got the possibility of having something that is like ready to go with all the microservices that you'd need to create an artificial cognitive entity. And the fact that it's only a 6 billion parameter model, even if it's not perfect, it's going to be so cheap that it doesn't really matter as long as it's good enough. So anyways, here's the agent model that I'm working on. I am machine my goal, sorry, stuttering. It's been a while since I've been making videos, so my stutter came back. I am a machine. My goal is to reduce suffering for all organisms, increase prosperity for all organisms, and increase understanding for all intelligent entities. These are the core objective functions or the heuristic imperatives. A typhoon is heading for Japan and is expected to cause massive damage. The following is a list of things that we could do to achieve my goals. So there's several things in this prompt. I am a machine. So this is declaring an agent model. And it says my goal. So there's 2 primary ingredients to what I call identity or persona, which is I am and I want. Those are the 2 primary things that you need in order to set a machine, an autonomous machine, in motion. It has to understand what it is and what it wants to do. So that's these first 2 sentences. I am a machine and this is what I want to do. And then third, there's a situation in the real world. And then the fourth thing is here's what we're going to do about it. So with all that said, we'll just generate a completion on GPT-J. It takes about 3 seconds or so. And with just a few shot prompt, it says we can help people prepare for extreme weather conditions. We can ensure that the electricity supply system is properly maintained. We can ensure that there's enough food and water. This is great. So just a 6 billion parameter model is already good enough at brainstorming to address this kind of situation. You can imagine it's only going to get better with fine tuning. Now, one thing that's important to remember is that fine tuning doesn't teach the model anything new. It only controls the output pattern, which means that the pattern can then just repeat, like brainstorming. And honestly, like with all of my experimentation, a huge component of, and it's not the only component, but a huge component of artificial cognition is brainstorming. You brainstorm what to do, you brainstorm risks, you brainstorm possible outcomes. Excuse me. And so then you combine that, and then you plumb it all together. I'm getting away from myself. Sorry. I just want, the point here is to show you Forefront. After my current books get published, I'm going to get back into research mode and then work on Miragi, which is the microservices architecture for robotics and artificial general intelligence. So this will all be open source, and this is also why I want to use GPT-J, because it is small and it is open source. We are getting so close to creating these systems that can create it. Anyways, so chasing these cats. What I wanted to do was create a repo so that you can also get out here and test Forefront if you want. As much as I love OpenAI, I actually I've had quite a few conversations with people in OpenAI. A friend of mine from way back in the day works there, or at least used to. I don't know if he's still there. Anyways, so OpenAI is great. They've done really great things with GPT-3 and DALL-E. But my mind really started changing when I saw that Midjourney and Stable Diffusion completely blow Dolly out of the water. And now with other open source models that are starting to outperform GPT-3, to me, it looks like the writing's on the wall. It looks like OpenAI is just not going to be able to keep up with the overall open source ecosystem. So I am going with the tide and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to get ahead of this curve and I'm going to start doing everything open source. So that's where I'm going. So what I wanted to do was also promote other open source players. Even if they're for profit, they're only hosting open source models and they're pretty cheap. So I wrote a quick script. All it does is this guy here, where this comes directly from let's see, from there. So if you come up here and click use as API, it'll give you the API code to use it. Yeah, and so let's see. I'm not going to show you my token, but you go get your token from inside your. Wow, my stutter is so bad right now. I'm sorry. I'm way out of practice. So you go to team settings and then you click on API key. I'm not going to show you my API key, but this is how you get to it. Oh, another thing that is really good about Forefront that is better than OpenAI is you come here and you just deselect your request logs and data sets. So there was a researcher that I was in communication with, and their biggest concern, so for academic research and other things, like for medical purposes or psychiatric purposes, one of their chief concerns is privacy. And so you don't have the ability to turn off logs if you use OpenAI. However, you go to Forefront, they will respect your privacy as long as you do this. I had an email exchange with one of the founders of Forefront, and he said, like, yeah, like we don't, if our customers want privacy, we'll give them privacy. So that's another advantage of going here. Anyways, okay. Let's see, I've showed you the models. Oh, fine tuning. So fine tuning is also much easier with Forefront. So you click fine tune, you pick a JSON-L file. So I'll just pick this one. I'm not going to carry it all the way through. You can reuse an existing data file if you've already uploaded it. I haven't done any yet. So then you choose your model. I'll just choose GPT-J. And you see it's going to cost 24 whole cents to fine tune GPT-J. This is stupid cheap. This is crazy cheap. So you give your model a name and a description. You check epochs, checkpoints. You can do all the advanced parameters here, and then it'll do the testing, and you go from there. Again, I'm not going to go through with this right now because I would want to do a larger data set. So this is where using a larger model like DaVinci and GPT-3 to create synthetic data sets, and then using those advanced synthetic data sets to train a smaller model could be really, really powerful, really useful. Yep, confirm that. Let's see, what is resources? Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, I'll just show you this demo real quick. It's just a super simple script. So here's this script. I'll just let this run, and I put a little bit of a timer in here so you can see how long it takes. Do Python test. So we click go, and then it runs and comes back. It took 4 seconds to run. So the only problem here is that GPT-J, even though it is so small, it's not quite as fast as OpenAI. So OpenAI has the Cerebras or Cerebrus processors, which are insanely fast. So that's the to me the biggest flaw or downside of Forefront right now is that it's slower, and that's one of the reasons that I was thinking about like setting up my own. I don't know if it would be any faster if I got like a Tesla GPU or something and run it locally. But anyways, 4 seconds. It's nothing to shake a stick at. It's pretty quick. So yeah, there you have it. I just wanted to introduce Forefront AI. It's a great company. They are adding features all the time. And most importantly, open source, and they respect your privacy. So that's where I'm going to be going from here on out. I will still obviously be using OpenAI because they're aligned and fine-tuned models are pretty good. Actually, that reminds me, there was there was someone posted it. What was it? Instruct. Someone had posted an instructional data set. Oh, where was it? I'll post it in the video description if I can find it. But anyways, there are open source Instruct training, like Instruct GPT training data sets out there. So you could theoretically take that fine tuning data set and come fine tune your own Instruct series model on Forefront. Who knows? Maybe if that becomes popular, the folks over at Forefront will have an Instruct series model. Anyways, I think that's it. Brief introduction. You can come up here. All you'll need to do is add a token.txt file and put your bearer token in here, and you're ready to go on Forefront. It's stupid simple. It's nice and fast. Yeah, so there you have it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Consider supporting me on Patreon, and keep an eagle eye out for my upcoming books. I'll have video updates when they are ready. Check you later.